Hello, gorgeous. First of all, I wanted to start off by telling you the story of why I start every episode with hello, gorgeous, and greeting you like that. And it goes back to a coach friend of mine, Nikki, who came on board a Zoom call, and she walked into the room. And let me tell you a bit about Nikki. She is one of those people who just is the epitome of joy. She walks in and she is just infectious energy, joy, happiness. In fact, if she had a perfume and I could have her in a bottle and spray her on me, I would. Sorry, Nikki, that sounded a bit creepy, but you just bring that energy. And so Nikki came in and she looked at me and she's like, hello, gorgeous. And it just lifted my day in that very moment. And I think that's one of the things that I do as a coach for people is I hold up a mirror in terms of letting you see your whole magnificence. And so hopefully when I say, hello, gorgeous, you get that that's meant for you and that energy comes through. And so you hear me each episode greeting you like that. I told a client the other day, she was fucking amazing. And she just got that. And I think that's what I do. When did you last tell yourself you're fucking amazing? By the way, if you don't like the F-bomb or you're in the kitchen on the car with little people, I might not be the best to listen to. It does come up occasionally. So that is why I say hello, gorgeous, and the space that I would like to hold for you as I do for my client. So what am I sharing today? Well, I'm sharing a story about what I'm going through at the moment, having had a boating accident recently that left me with both some physical injuries on the outside, which have now healed, but inside it's taken a little bit longer as I struggle with concussion.
I'm sorry to hear that. Can you please tell us a little bit about your boning experience, what happened, and what you immediately did in the aftermath? Like, did you have a full recovery? How's it going? Tell me everything.
Yeah, sure. So it was a Saturday evening, it was absolutely beautiful weather, and my husband sold me on a sunset cruise in our little aluminium dinghy. If I get sold a sunset cruise again, I won't go. Anyway, we were out boating. Long story short, we were in shallow water. My husband is a very experienced boatie, so I'm not holding it against him for this mishap. But we were in a clear channel, sped up on the plane, and we hit a sandbar, and I was throwing forward. The boat came to an immediate stop. I was throwing forward about 1.5 meters onto my head, gashed my head open. I got 6 stitches with a black eye and looked pretty beaten up for a couple of weeks afterwards. And yeah, so it was the inside injuries that were worse. So I got stitched up, my black eye all healed up fine. And I thought I was having difficulty concentrating for a long period. I was having probably some emotional stuff. If there is a perimenopausal woman who doesn't, so I didn't think too much about that. And I was getting headaches, so a bit of stuff going on, but I just was resuming to some degree of normal. I would say probably we were away from my daughter's rowing regatta, so I didn't have clients or anything except I had one 4-hour board meeting on Zoom, and I had an hour's cocktail party on a day. So like 50% of what I might normally be doing, and I wound up in ED after a really scary episode with my body kind of crashing out, and I thought something had gone wrong in my brain. And that was basically a sign that I was going too hard, too fast.
Were there any signs from your body in the lead up to ending up in the emergency department that told you maybe you were going a bit too hard, maybe you should stop and listen? Were there any of those signs that maybe you could share?
Yeah, I think there probably were. And what I had made the mistake of doing is I thought that my body would tell me when it was time to stop. So I would push to the point where I was then like, oh my God, I really need to close my eyes and just shut down all circuits because I feel like I'm about to, have a circuitry malfunction, as in that would appear like I'm about to have a toddler tantrum if my children or husband ask me one additional thing, or I've got such a headache that I need to just go and lie down and close my eyes. So I was resting at that point when when I'd pushed my body hard enough that it really needed a full shutdown, versus what I now know about concussion is that actually it's resting while I still feel good, and taking little brain breaks. So just pacing it differently. And I think actually in there's a good lesson for, certainly for me, and that's why I share this story as well, because I think that in the fast-paced age that we live in, and for so many of us juggling work and juggling children or juggling lots of responsibilities, whether you've got kids or not, we've all got leading full lives and leading them at a reasonable pace with technology, all the incoming things of social media, texts, emails. It's busy, right? It's a busy world we live in. And oftentimes we just go, and we're not taking the breaks, listening to our body. And so what I am having to learn is that just those rhythms of working and then resting, like little mini breaks. I remember a client of mine years ago, one of my leadership clients, and he would literally lie down underneath his desk in his corporate workplace every day. He was a German chap, and he'd lie down for like 15 minutes and just have a power nap. And he just did that, and it became the norm for him. But just to rest, I think, why I tell that story is that I think so often we just it's not the norm. It's either not the norm for us as individuals, or it's not the norm within the environment that we're operating in, and we can push ourselves too hard. To the point where, have you ever gone, I really need to wee, but I'm just going to do this text, send those emails, go through that load of washing on, do X, Y, Z before I actually answer nature's call. And so we'll sometimes just push our body's needs down the list. And so this episode is really about how do we get better at listening to our bodies? How do we get better at not pushing self-care in whatever way, shape or form that looks for you down the list?
It kind of sounds like your experience with concussion was similar to people experiencing burnout. Would you agree in that respect? So anyone that's listening to this, and if they're going through burnout, they might be able to see some of the signs being similar to you.
I would totally agree with that. In fact, I've got clients, a couple of clients that I can think of that are going through that same journey, not in terms of concussion, but in terms of burnout, and just looking at when that then means it's come to a complete stop base and have to relearn. And absolutely, I think in terms of avoiding burnout, in terms of avoiding the universe needing to give us a message in some way, and that is how I'm viewing this. The universe is giving me a message to stop pushing myself, my body so hard, and to stop pushing my brain. My brain, I was working really hard, hustling hard in terms of the launches I had coming up, and in terms of new stuff in my business. And I was working so hard before that I would get to the point where my head hurt with so much going on so many fronts. And then I think it's hugely ironic that I got this like massive whack on the head from the universe that said, now you can't work as hard right now. Now is an opportunity to learn some lessons. I literally can't work like I did because my head hurts. It hurt before, but I didn't listen to it. And now I actually have to, because when I didn't for the next time, I wound up in the ED, and I don't want to go back there again. And so it's about how do we listen to our body's needs without the universe needing to give us a whomping over the head in some way, shape or form. So I hope in sharing this, I might help you avert if you are looking down the kind of barrel of a wake-up call in some way, shape or form, that this is a nudge to say, don't deprioritize yourself, your body's need. Integrate those breaks, integrate what it is you need to look after you.
You've already sort of covered it, but my last question to you is, what are the key takeaways here for someone that is going through the same sort of experience that you've been through, whether that's burnout, whether that's just their body shutting down? What would you tell them?
Work to the rhythms that, we talk about ultradian rhythms, 90 minutes on and then a rest, or Pomodoros, 25 minutes is a Pomodoro, doing a single focus task, versus being doing this and doing that and doing that and opening this email and seeing this come in, like actually just focusing energy on a single thing at a time, because our brain is a serial processor. It's a myth to think that we're actually, as women, amazing multitaskers. It's not the way to use our brain's energy. So that would be one thing, is to focus, to work with those ultradian rhythms and to rest. Doesn't have to be big, just little mini rests. And also look for in the shitness. Like this has not been all rainbows. I haven't been like, oh yeah, get this opportunity to get the lessons. So I've had my, if this is hard, why did this happen to me? I'm come to a kind of standstill in a lot of ways. So actually just accepting that and being in it, but looking for, when things happen, there is a gift somewhere, whether we can see that at first or not. So just taking a pause to say, what might a gift or a message, what's my intuition, what's the universe trying to tell me here? So those are my takeouts. So hopefully in there, as I recover, and I'm really hoping for me, and one of the things that's super useful here is, as I declare this to you, it's a way of holding myself to account, that I integrate these lessons and take them on in a sustainable way, so that 6 months down the track, I am still gifted with the benefit of integrating self-care more than I was prior to the accident. So I hope that there's something in there for you. Love on yourself, love on your body, and I'll see you next time.